Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering video. So we're now on to the second of the 5 Commander 2020 decks. And this is Kalamax the Stormshire. 1 green, blue, red. So it's the green, blue, red wedge. It's a legendary creature, elemental dinosaur. It's a 4/4. And whenever you cast your first instant spell each turn, if Kalamax the Stormshire is tapped, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy, and whenever you copy an instant spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Kalamax. So, what do we got on the back? Join the fray. Arcane Maelstrom. Kalamax is a creature of pure destructive chaos whose presence alone moves mountains and reshapes the horizon. It exudes raw elemental energy power any mage would covet if they could get close enough to harness it. So this looks suspiciously like a Stegosaurus to me. Anyway. Okay. So the oversized card here as well, you can see there's one oversized card in here. That's in foil. Then just moving on here before we start to look at the deck itself. So as with all the decks, you have a like a how to play guide for the deck itself. And then on the back, what it does is it gives you a breakdown of the backstory for the lead commander and then these alternate commanders. So what they've done is you've got like a regular alternate here, and then they've got partner commanders in the deck as well, if you want to go down that route. So if it's anything like other decks in the past where not all decks, all Magic the Gathering decks, commander decks have this thing where you've got like what I often call the lead commander and then the alternates. It was always the case that the lead commander was the strongest synergy, and then with the alternates, it sort of there was some synergy there, but then it made you go down a different route and maybe sub out some cards. So I'm assuming the same is true of this deck. Again, I've not specifically gone online to check this out. I'm expecting when we go through the deck, the deck's stacked so that the sort of newer cards, the cards that are sort of exclusive to this particular set, because some cards will duplicate themselves in multiple decks in this set, but are exclusive to this particular set, they'll be near the top in here. As always, I'm just obviously going to read through the rares, which, as I've said, those are going to be, a lot of those are going to be the newer cards, or the cards that are exclusive to this particular set. And then we'll go through and go through a bit faster on some of the other cards. And also, I always like to look at the mana base, so I tend to slow up a bit when we look at the non-basic lands. I showed this to you in the other deck. We've already opened one of the commander decks so far, so this is our second commander deck. And how this works is this is obviously a counter for up to 40 life. One size does from 40 down to what would it be, 21, I suppose. Yeah, and then the other side is from 20 down to 1. So yeah, interesting addition. I think that's the first time they've had life counters before in Commander products. I don't think the decks, but in that, was it Commander's Arsenal? And then I think it was when they did the reprints of the Commander product, where they had those 2 lots of Commander product where they had 4 decks in each. I think there was spin down counters in those. but they were a different design, they were plastic. So all of the commanders, that's both the main, the lead commander and the alternate, in their regular size are in foil. And I imagine for some of these that's going to look pretty cool actually. See the plates on that particular creature probably going to pop out if this is done in the right light. I'm going to just avoid, I've got light coming in from the side which helps sometimes with the foils, so I'm going to try and avoid having too much of a shade for my hand. It's a bit tricky on camera, but hopefully that will help with the foils and the foiling. Oh yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay, so I've already read this one out. So the same rules text on here, I think. But there we go. Okay, so now moving on to the alternates, we've got Xyrus the Writhing Storm, 2 green, blue, red for a 3/5 legendary creature, Snake Leviathan with flying. Whenever an opponent draws a card, except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. Whenever Xyrus the Writhing Storm deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. Okay. So we're moving on to our alternate partners here, which are partner commanders. Haldan Avid Arcanist, or Arcanist, however you say that. 2 and a blue, 1/4, legendary creature, human wizard, partner with Peiko Arcane Retriever. When this creature enters the battlefield, target player may put Peiko into their hand from their library, then shuffle. You may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch counters on them if you exiled them. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast these spells. And I imagine this is where the fetch counters come from. So some pretty interesting foiling going on that one, if you can. Again, there we go. Peiko Arcane Retriever, 3 red green for a 3/3 legendary creature, elemental hound, partner with Haldan Avid Arcanist. It's got haste. Whenever Peiko Arcane Retriever attacks, exile the top card of each player's library and put a fetch counter on each of them. Put a +1/+1 on Peiko for each non-creature card exiled this way. I suppose it's a hound, so it makes appropriate to have a fetch counter. So then we're going to get a stack of tokens, and these are two-sided. So we got Goblin Warrior and a Drake. Goblin Warrior, Drake, Beast token, a Bird Illusion token. It's cool. Beast and a Bird Illusion. I'm just thinking, looking at some of these, and I don't think they'd ever do it. Imagine if these are in foil. This would look really cool with this sort of artwork. Beast and a snake. Beast and a snake. Beast and a snake. And of course, if they were foiled both sides, which they would be, they wouldn't warp. Bend. Beast and a snake, because it's sort of foiling counteracts because it's on each side. Sapling and a treasure token. Something in here is generating a variety of different tokens. Sapling and a treasure token. So what we're going to move on to now, it looks like, is the non-basic lands. So command towers in the deck. Add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. We've got Frontier Bivouac. So because these are wedges, we're going to see obviously relevant 3-colour generators in here in the form of land and various other things, I suspect. So Frontier Bivouac is the one that does green, blue or red. And then, yeah, no surprise here. We're probably going to see all the original Ravnica lands. Gruul Turf, so here's the red-green one, so enters the battlefield tapped, and when Gruul Turf enters the battlefield, you bounce a land back to your hand, and then when this sort of comes online, you get to tap for red-green. Halimar Depths, which is a monocolour blue land with utility on it, so enters the battlefield tapped. When Halimar Depths enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put them back in any order, add blue. Is that from, that would have been from the Zendikar block, I suppose. Is it Boiler Works? Is the original Ravnica land for blue-red. We've got Myriad Landscape in this deck. It's about for tap for colourless, 2, tap sacrifice Myriad Landscape. And you search out your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type. Put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Rupture Spire's in here. Adds 1 mana of any colour, but when it enters the battlefield, you have to you get sacrificed unless you pay 1 mana of any colour. Simic Growth Chamber, so original Ravnica land in blue red. Oh, then we've got the life lands are in here. So Rugged Highlands, it's the red-green one. Swiftwater Cliffs is the blue-red. Thornwater Falls is the green-blue. And now we actually move on to our regular basic lands here. And this is artwork from the most recent set. You can see what they've done here with this particular Commander product is what they're tending, I think they're going to do going forward is have Commander product come out the same time as a particular set. So we're moving on to islands. You would have seen this artwork when I did the unboxing of the bundle. Okay. So we've got Decoy Gambit, 2 and a blue instant for each opponent. Choose up to 1 target creature that player controls, then return that creature to its owner's hand unless its controller has you draw a card. Aeon Frolicker, 2 and 2 blue, creature elemental Otter. It's a 5/5 with flying. When Aeon Frolicker enters the battlefield, if you cast it, target opponent takes an extra turn after this one. Until your next turn, you and planeswalkers you control gain protection from that player. Just reminds there about what protection actually is. Nascent Metamorph, 1 and a blue, creature shapeshifter. It's a 1/1. Whenever Nascent Metamorph attacks or blocks, target opponent reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. Nascent Metamorph becomes a copy of that card until end of turn. Then that player puts all cards revealed this way on the bottom of their library in a random order. Deflecting Swat, 2 and a red instant. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. You may choose new targets for target spell or ability. Lava Brink Floodgates, 3 and a red artifact. Add 2 red. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put a doom counter on Lava Brink Floodgates or remove a doom counter from it. Then if it has 3 or more doom counters on it, sacrifice Lava Brink Floodgates. When you do, it deals 6 damage to each creature. Curious Herd, 3 and a green instant. Choose target opponent. You create X 3/3 green beast creature tokens where X is the number of artifacts that player controls. So that's where your beast tokens are coming from, we saw earlier. Glade Muse, 2 and a green 2/4 creature beast. Whenever a player casts a spell, if it's not their turn, that player draws a card. Ravenous Gigantotherium, 5 and 2 green creature beast with Devour 3. So as this enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters the battlefield with 3 times that many +1/+1 counters on it. When Ravenous Giganto Theorem enters the battlefield, it deals X damage divided as you choose among up to X target creatures, where X is its power. Each of those creatures deals damage equal to its power to Ravenous Giganto Theorem. Twinning Staff, 3 colourless artifact. If you would copy a spell one or more times, instead copy it that many times plus an additional time. You may choose new targets for the additional copy. 7 tap. Copy target instant or sorcery spells you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Oh, we have Jace. Jace, Architect of Thought is in the deck. So 2 and 2 blue, legendary Planeswalker Jace. So the +1 is until your next turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, it gets -1, -0 till end of turn. -2 is reveal the top 3 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library in any order. For each player, search that player's library for a non-land card and exile it. Then that player shuffles their library. You may cast those cards without paying their mana cost, and it's got 4 loyalty. Got a Lunar Mystic in here, 2 and 2 blue, 2/2 creature human wizard. Whenever you cast an instant spell, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. Niblis of Frost, 2 and 2 blue, 3/3 creature spirit flying with prowess. Whenever you cast non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, tap target creature or opponent controls that creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Swarm Intelligence, 6 and a blue enchantment. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may copy that spell. You may choose new targets for that copy. As you can see now, since the last few cards, we're now moving into the reprint area. Some of these may or may not have new artwork. I know Talleyrand doesn't here. I recognise this. Talleyrand Sky Summoner, 2 and 2 blue, legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. It's 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or a sorcery spell, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. In fact, the blue Drake token should have given it away that Talleyrand's in here. Chaos Warp's in here. It's a cool card. 2 and a red instant. The owner of a target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveals the top card of the library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield. Charmbreaker Devils, 5 and a red 4/4 creature devil. At the beginning of your upkeep, return an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Charmbreaker Devils gets +4/+0 until end of turn. Comet Storm, X and 2 red instant with multi-kicker 1. So you may pay an additional 1 any number of times as you cast this spell. Choose any target, then choose another target for each spell. Each time this spell was kicked, Comet Storm deals X damage to each of them. You've got Commune with Lava, X and 2 red instant. Exile the top X cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. Dualcaster Mage is in here. 2 and 2 red 2/2 creature human wizard with flash. When Dualcaster Mage enters the battlefield, copy target instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Etali Primal Storm, 4 and 2 red legendary creature Elder Dinosaur. It's a 6/6. Whenever Etali Primal Storm attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. Goblin Dark Dwellers. So now we're moving. No, we're still on rares here. 3 and 2 red creature goblin with menace. It's a 4/4. When Goblin Dark Dwellers enter the battlefield, you may cast a target instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. Starstorm's in here. X and 2 red instant. Starstorm deals X damage to each creature. It's got cycling 3 on it. Strength of Tajuru. X and 2 green. Multi-kicker 1. Choose target creature, then choose another target creature. Each time this spell was kicked, put X +1/+1 counters on each of them. You can see here as we're going through this, we are getting a lot of instants and sorceries. here because there's a number of cards that are caring about that. So obviously we're going to see a lot more spells than we're going to see a lot more non-creature spells than creature spells. Artifact Mutation, red-green, destroy target artifact. It can't be regenerated. Create X/1/1 green sapling creature tokens where X is the artifact's converted mana cost. There seems to be a lot of anti-artifact spells in here as well. Dune Illuminatus, 5 red blue 3/5 with flying. Each instant and sorcery spell you cast has replicate. The replicate cost is equal to its mana cost. Melik Izzet Paragon. Yeah, there's probably a number of Izzet cards that are well at home in this deck. 4 blue red, 2/4 legendary creature weird wizard. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may cast instant or sorcery spells from the top of your library. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your library, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. I wonder whether we are going to have some form of Niv-Mizzet in here. We'll see. Prophetic Bolt, 3 blue red. Prophetic Bolt deals 4 damage to any target. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Got Rashmi Eternity's Crafter. Say 3 green blue legendary creature elf druid for 2/3. It's 2/3. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a non-land card with converted mana cost less than that spell's, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If you don't cast the revealed card, put it into your hand. I'll walk the Raid Mothers in here. So 4 red green hybrid. Legendary creature Goblin Shaman. 3/3. Whenever Walk the Raid Mother enters the battlefield, create 2/1/1 red and green goblin creature tokens. Each red or green instant or sorcery spell you cast has Conspire. As you cast a spell, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control that share a colour with it. When you do, copy it and you may choose new targets for the copy. Solemn Simulacrum's in here with new artwork. 4 to cast. It's a 2/2 artifact creature golem. When Solemn Simulacrum enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. When Solemn Simulacrum dies, you may draw a card. Got Cinderglade in here, so we've got a few more non-basic lands. So enter the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. That's red green. We've got Desolate Lighthouse. Tap to add colourless. 1 blue red. Draw a card, then discard a card. Exotic Orchards also in the deck. Add 1 mana of any colour that a land an opponent controls could produce. Kessig Wolf Run from what original Innistrad block, I believe. One of the sets from that block. Tap add colourless X red green. Tap target creature gets +X/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Mossfire Valley. So it's a filter land that filters colourless and gives you red-green. Mosswort Bridge, it's Hideaway. We've seen some Hideaway cards in the other deck. So this is the green one. Tap to add green tap. You may pay an exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater. So the Hideaway bit, this land enters the battlefield tap. When it does, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. Or on Wreath of Vastwood. Cool. On Wreath of Vastwood enters the battlefield tap. Tap, add green. Tap, put a +1/+1 counter on each green creature that entered the battlefield this turn. So that would have been from what original the Zendikar block. Again, I can't remember which set from that block. Scavenger Grounds. Okay, it's a desert. Tap add colourless. 2 tap sacrifice a desert. Exile all cards from all graveyards. Okay. Oh, you have my coasters in here. So Painland. And then we've got a few more basic lands here, again from the Mycoria. Bonder's Ornaments in here, so some mana fixing with a bit of utility. Arcane Signet, I'm assuming this is going to be in all the decks. Nice to see this. This is a chase common from the set it originally was from. I just can't currently remember. So more mana fixing related to the commander's colour identity. Commander's Spheres in here, another mana rock. Lightning Greaves is in the deck. So 2 to cast, equip creatures, haste and shroud, equipped for 0. Soul Ring, no surprise there. And then we got some commons here. You can, uncommons. You can see there's the Courier symbol. Clash of Titans we've got in here. Channeled Force, 2 blue red. Primal Empathy, green blue. Psychic Impetus, Shiny Impetus, so there's a cycle of impetuses here. So this blue one, you enchant the creature gets 2/2/2 and is goaded. When enchanted creature attacks, scry 2. The red one, same thing with the buff, you get +2/+2 and goaded, but then this last ability changes to whenever enchanted creature attacks, you create a treasure token. That's where our treasure tokens are coming from. And then the green one, the Predatory Impetus. So this gets buffed slightly more, +3/+3. Must be blocked if able and is goaded, but there's no additional further ability there beyond that. What's in that sort of block? The Chemist's Insight. It's got Jumpstart on it. Frantic Search. That's Whiplash. Oh, hang on, I forgot one there. Let's look at that as well. I'm just going to move this over because there's a bit of a shadow there. Murmuring Mystic is in here. That's where our Blue Illusion is coming from. Whiplash Trap. Surreal Memoir. Crop rotations in here. So single green. Instant, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice the land, search your library for a land card and put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Evolution Charm. Don't think that's the only charm in here. There's a Modal card. Harrow's in here, so we're going to have some land fetching by the looks of things. Harrow, not surprising when one of the colours in here is green. Hunter's Insight. Hunting Pack. Makes sense when you've got a deck that cares about spell, instants and sorceries. You're going to have cards that generate creature tokens from being played rather than are actually creatures. A Natural Connection. Slice in Twain, way of dealing with artifacts and enchantments. Tribute to the Wild. There's another way of getting rid of artifacts and enchantments. Wilderness Reclamation. Crackling Drake is in here. Growth Spiral. We've got a Timor Charm. So this is the 3-colour charm. Again, modal. And then Discover More Magic, apparently. I was half expecting to get some of those in one of those cards with the push out tokens on it, actually, because they were talking about doom counters. Okay, so there we have the deck. That's a pretty interesting deck. It's always interesting to see in the Commander product, where they have these sort of caring about instants and sorceries decks. And in multiplayer games, that sort of strategy is quite a challenging one to play, just because it's not a one-on-one format. You're going up against multiple people, and so there's always that problem with non-creature spells, where the deck has to be basically cleverly built, because it's really easy to get into just one-hit things with instants and sorceries. So there we have it. The Stegosaurus deck, as I'm going to have to call it. Calamax the Stormshire, legendary creature, elemental dinosaur. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. As you know, I'm sort of slow rolling these, so I'll get through the decks eventually. But what I'm hoping is I'm gonna get through these, one every, say, week, maybe slightly less, and then by the time I'm done with these, it won't be long before the core set's upon us. Apparently no toolkit this year, which is interesting. So there's no deck builder's toolkit for the core set. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Bye for now.